and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we will be focusing on the need for employers of labour to ensure that workers do join unions, to ensure that decent work is being promoted across the globe. We will be right back.
Nigerian students have found themselves at the receiving end of the continuous strike embarked on by Academic Staff Union of Universities over unresolved issue with the federal government since 2009. It has caused untold hardship for both students and their parents due to the uncertainty of the academic calendar. Even when ASU members get some of their demands met and return to classes, they are soon out back on strike, leaving the students to pick up the pieces of their lives with great difficulty. This is now over 5 months since ASU embarked on its latest strike.
Then in school,
Ezine Eke is a 300-level student of the University of Nigeria. Having stayed at home for almost 6 months, she is already receiving messages from her landlord reminding her to renew the rent of her hostel accommodation, which will be due in October.
Since March, I haven't been there. March, April, May, you can count it. And then I'll go back to my dad and I'm like, my lodge rent has expired. How is he going to see it? Even if they call off strike today and I go back to school, that's like in how many months' time? Like, it's really painful, honestly.
ASU strike has been on for a while. I mean, everybody wants to get jobs or find something to do, but like in the end, when you are trying to find something professional, you can't get it because everybody keeps demanding for your BSc result.
The Council of Students Union President, which comprises of all students' union presidents across federal universities in Nigeria, are not taking this lightly. They are giving the government a time frame to resolve the issue or have Nigerian students in major streets of the nation's capital.
We also call for the immediate removal of the Minister of Education, Adamu, and the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngigi. We are going to shut down the activities of the airport. We are going to block major roads in the Federal Capital Territory. At least we are going to start receiving lectures in the Ministry of Education, both in the Ministry of Labour and even in the airports.
And anybody can feel free to take this as an empty threat, but time will tell if we are bluffing or if we actually have the capacity to deliver on what we are saying.
The council says that it is losing students to incessant killing from bandit attack following their prolonged stay at home, as they begged the government to look into the demands of ASU as presented and attend to them so they could return to school.
Against the backdrop of the African Development Bank's AFDB prediction that Nigeria would require some $3 trillion over a 26-year period in infrastructure investment, the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, has asked the federal government to explore the option of public-private partnership in leveling up the country's huge infrastructural gap. Speaking at the 64th Annual General Meeting of the Employers' Body in Lagos on Thursday, Taiwo Adeniyi, president of NECA, argued that the need to invest in building infrastructure couldn't have been stronger at any other time, given that Nigeria just signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
Going from the AGM, you see that our members were quite happy with what we've done in the past year, and we have also given them our commitment that we can only do better in this particular year. We are hoping that advocacy will be improved. We're going to have to do more. We're going to now engage government, especially the new government that's coming in. We're engaging the parties to get their candidates to come and address the organized private sector so that we can get them to begin to align with what our pains are. So as they get to office, they have something, they have a document that they can start working with. That's our plan.
Other strategic partners during the event noted that the ministry has embarked on the nationwide training program for youth on vocational skills acquisition and trades in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
It is with a view to addressing the unemployment challenges that the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment currently embarked on employability training for university and polytechnic graduates in all the states of the Federation and the FCT. The overall goal is to facilitate job placement and reduce time and resources spent on job search by unemployed persons.
We are trying to see how we can reduce the burden of out-of-pocket expenses, which we know is a huge issue. So now that the NHI has been signed into law, making it mandatory, we know that there's going to be a large pool of funds, because one of the challenges we've had is that the authority, let me put it that way, formerly a scheme, we're not having the adequate funding for us to cover everybody. But now that we are bringing everybody into this authority, we ensure that there'll be more funding to provide care and also upgrading the benefit package for all Nigerians.
There was the presentation of awards to well-deserving corporations in Nigeria.
No company that wants any unions in their premises now. They don't want us to organize unions in the premises. We have been trying from north to south, from south to east. So we have just been managing. Things are not being rosy. They are not being like before. Before, this union is controlling about 30,000 workers, members. But as of today, we can't proud of 10,000. Because of the redundancy, contract, outsourcing, and even the contract staff we're supposed to be able to organize, have access to them. But the reverse is the case. When the problem comes, you see people quoting law. And is the law working? No, the answer is no. Even those at the Ministry of Labour too, they are not helping the situation.
To belong to union, be a member of the union, is beneficiary than being an source worker. If you go to some of the bank now, you see this security putting on uniform, they are all a source. And if you are an source worker, if you die, no benefit. If you have an accident or you are disabled, no benefit. But if you are a member of the union and you have an accident while on duty, they will take care of the company will take care of your treatment. You will have some compensation. If you are disabled, they pay you some money. And in debt, you collected some money. Like in the port industry, we have what we call P&I Club, where all shipping companies belong to, ship owner belong to. Because in charterer agreement, a vessel sailing to any destination, there is always that charterer agreement that in the event of death, accident, or so on and so forth, who is responsible? So in most cases, the ship owner are responsible. And the insurance that represent the ship owner are the P&I Club. So in the maritime industry, that is the practice. That whenever there is an accident while on duty on board vessel, the P&I Club will come in, they will negotiate with the union, and compensation will be paid to the next of kin. But if you are an source worker, you will not have those benefits.
On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the General Secretary of NUPENG, Comrade Afolabi Olawale. He brings us up to speed on the advantages of belonging to a union and why it's important for every worker to ensure that they belong to affiliate unions as it affects their profession. It's good to have you on the program. I don't know how safe it is for us to even be having handshakes.
We are safe. No, we are safe now. No, we have passed through that stage.
Well.
We are safe now. And that's why...
I'll save it for later. A lot has been happening since our last conversation. Yeah. It's really been a while.
We thank God.
And we're looking at the issue of unionism administration in Nigeria. With the experience about unionism, what would be your reaction towards the fact that we have so many companies that do not want their workers to actually join the union? We even have some that would even tell you at the point of entry to sign that you won't be part of any union activities.
Yeah.
Why is that need for workers to be part of a union?
Yeah, thank you. Trade union organization emerged as a result of the full industrial revolution, where an individual with huge capital can get land, get equipment, and bring people together to work for him so he will make profit from his capital. So as a businessman, capitalists, they believe if I have the land, I have the resources, I hire these people, I should be able to determine their fate. And the main reason for investment generally is about maximization of profit. So take it from every businessman is interested in making profit. Whoever we cut into that profit will be regarded as an enemy or as an unwanted entity in the setup. So workers also realize that as an individual, they cannot engage the power of the capitalist. They cannot engage the connection, the network connection of the capitalist. Therefore, the only way out for them is to come together in a collectivity. And when they come out in collectivity, they can collectively engage the powerful capitalist. But since mid-80s to early 90s, they started developing series of means of ways of reducing this. And they call it reducing the burden. Concentrating.
Is that where outsourcing
and
casualization comes in?
Exactly. Concentrating on their core business. So they said gateman is not their core business, they can outsource it. Tigger is not they can outsource it. Accountant now is not their core business, they can outsource it. Now, when you look at what's the core of the business, either in hospitality business, either in oil and gas, either in banking, you realize that there is nothing core except the contract paper, the portfolio they carry. So they outsource every other worker. And when they outsource, they are trying to do what? Reduce, number one, the collectivity of these workers as a block. They outsource the gardeners to hospitality. They outsource the driver to transport union. They outsource the accountant to banking. So in that enterprise, you don't have that single entity again, thereby weakening the power, the strength, which rely on solidarity of the workers. That's it. And beyond that, they maximize their profit. What they pay from the company is not what they pay to the contractors who are contract laborers. And beside that, they will now talk about ability to pay, the earning from the industry. You are working in oil and gas industry. Prior to 1990, up to recently, your income is dependent on the production you are making. So that's why you see oil and gas workers, permanent workers, earning so much. But when the workers are outsourced or sent out as contract workers, what they are paid are just peanuts.
And they still do the same core job.
They're still doing the same services, they're still rendering the same services, the same work to support the production, to support the oil and gas production, to support the profit they are making from oil and gas industry.
But of course, we understand that this is going to reduce the number of members that your union will be able to boast of, or any other union will be able to boast of. So are you seeing the possibility of extinction if we go on like this?
It's a sad thing to note that trade union movement is facing serious danger and to the point of extinction. And it's happening all over. And that's why we need committed leaders as unionists who are willing to sacrifice to get these workers together. There are a lot of challenges we've been facing in the oil and gas industry, most especially where I operate from. Contracts outsourcing has led to serious depletion in our membership. It's so sad that these multinationals and indigenous companies, they use this contract outsourcing as a form of PR to community leaders. And they are now pitching the union against the community. That the allegiance of these workers is not to the union, but rather to the community. And this community sells slots. It's not that these workers they are sourcing are from that particular community. They are taking it as a business. And these community gatekeepers are the ones maximizing profit from these people, making it difficult to unionize them. And when you have multiplicity of contracts from a single company, it has become so difficult, so expensive, almost impossible to start moving from one location to the other, from one employer, a contractor to another, to organize these workers. So if perchance you have 2,000 workers in a particular enterprise before, single, but now you now have multiplicity of contracts that has turned out about 200 employers, that each employer is now managing maybe 10, 20 workers. And you are expected as a trade union organization to move from one contractor to another, to unionize and organize these 10, 20, 30. So one, is difficult, is expensive. At the same time, it has broken that strong cord that solidify the worker in a particular enterprise. And the condition that operates in one union dealing with one industry is different from another union. Let me give you a clarity. Transport workers or drivers, if they are outsourced to a transport company, and that transport company is insisting that the workers must be unionized by road transport workers. The situation in road transport is different from the situation and the organizational structure in NUPENG. Then the tea girls, the catering is outsourced to what? Hotel and personnel management. So the condition there is different from that of NUPENG, that of NURTW, and this. Then steel and engineering workers, those who are working in the steel and things like that, they are also outsourced to SEWON. So in a particular enterprise that used to have just one union, you are now having about 5, 6 unions.
So do you think it's all a game to ensure that there is no uniformity and workers are unable to organize
The
properly?
summary of the whole thing is that we must, at every opportunity by the employer, weaken the power of the union, eliminate the union from the present as much as possible.
What do you think is the best way to resolve industrial disputes? And would you say that the court of law has been supportive towards this journey? Because like you said, when you're talking about unionization and the likes, I know there are several times that there are court issues that would emerge. How would you rate the response of the union respecting court orders and also the employers of labor also obeying the rule of law?
It's so sad that, I'm sorry, regrettably, our institutions are not working well. Maybe because they are overburdened, or maybe because we don't have enough skilled people to man them. Look at the issue of factory inspectors, for instance, and see the nature of industrial accidents reported and unreported that we're having. Issue of industrial relation, supposed to be a tripartite. First of all, tripartite, the 3 parties that are in the Nigerian industrial relations system, the government, the employer, and the employees. But most often, the relationship is between the employers and the employee. It's like husband and wife. And even International Labour Organization has also been so emphatic about it. There is need for social dialogue. You dialogue, you negotiate, you reach agreement. Most times we realize that what leads to these strikes and industrial actions here and there is because of the failure of one party to implement agreement, or the refusal of one party to even enter into discussion. Many employers believe that they are the owner of the business. They made so much derogatory statements about the union being usurper, interloper. Well, what is the union doing in their premises? Because they said they have personal relationship with their employees. But everybody knows that they are only dictatorial to their employees.
So how do we get decent work?
Decent work is difficult in this atmosphere we find ourselves. If we are to get decent work, our institutions must be seen to be working. In advanced countries, where you hardly hear of prolonged strikes, because institutions are working, agreements are respected, and instruments of social dialogue is allowed to flourish. But here, I'm sorry to say again, issue of corruption has affected the performance of most of our institutions. So you cannot get social justice, decent employment in this kind of atmosphere. And that's why you see many unions going on strike. And you see many strikes are prolonged because of the kind of products that sector is dealing with.
Talking about training and retraining of workers, I know your union has been on top of training and retraining of members. Going to the fact that we also have the just renewable energy transition that will be happening anytime from now. I wouldn't say how prepared is the union, but can you just explain to us, with your experience as an administrator, what more do you think needs to be done in terms of training and retraining of workers?
When I joined, I spoke to my general secretary then. The desk they gave me then was different for education, was admin, but I pleaded that they should add that to mine, and from there, we started having regular annual training programs for our members. We have 4 zonal council, we do 4 zonal training annually, then we end it up with national training. And we always bring topical issues to discuss. And this has helped so far in building the competence and skills of not just ordinary members, also helped with our staff. And we've been able to use it to conscientize our members. And one area that I feel so proud today is about the petrol tanker drivers. Generally, before I came in, everybody see petrol tanker drivers as the ruffians of the society, the dropouts, never do well individuals. But I came in, I found in them the core thing in them. Inner there then, I saw the virtue. I realized that they are like coming from a single family. When I say single, I always tell them, tanker drivers, petrol tanker driver all over are from a single family unit. To me, they are from the family of the deprived. Many of them started as a motor boy when the parents could not afford to send them to school. At that particular, they say, go and follow Brother Lasisi, Uncle Najim. The boy will start running after them, carrying tire for them. It is from there they graduate to become tanker driver. It is not their first choice. It was circumstances that forced all of them into it. All of them into it. And we should respect that. We should appreciate them. Over the years, in doing that job, they started making a little money. When I first started with them, they started with corporate beating. When anybody offend any other person or break rule, they'll beat the person no matter how. Education changed them. They now realize they can query their member, they can send on suspension, they should avoid beating. Then, before then, a little thing, they'll go on strike. But we start telling them that when you are going on strike, you are not only destroying the economy, you are also destroying your colleague and yourself. You are earning on daily pay. So if you don't work for one day, you won't eat. So let's find a way to first engage and also sectionalize our struggles when we have any issue. Then I encourage them that all of you, I knew where you got to this place because of the deprived beginning you had. But even at your age, you can still improve yourself and still make your children be something in life. I'm very proud of tanker drivers. They've been so wonderful. And I always tell everybody, tanker driver is not suicidal in their mission. Any accident that involves a tanker driver, it's an accident, not that he's on a suicide mission. And that's why I'm so proud of Ejiro Taribo. He actually proved to the whole world that a tanker driver is a man with feelings. He's a man that has a wife, kids at home, and want to go back to that family, to share with them in the evening, to reach with them in the evening, to eat on the same table with them. They are only looking for ways to make a living. So please, when you see a tanker driver out there, driving every night and day to make our home comfortable, to make our industry work, please show him some appreciation, respect him, appreciate him. So that's the importance of education in trade union movement.
Unemployment seems to be the order of the day. We understand that if we don't have more people coming into the workplace, we won't have more members coming in. How is the union coping? What will be the recommendation as General Secretary of NUPENG towards ensuring that we have more new youths or young people coming to the sector?
Your question is divided into two. One is about unemployment. The other one is encouraging the youth. Mm-hmm. We must have employment before we can encourage the youth to come in. Mm-hmm. But as I always tell you, our unemployment stems right away from the increasing level of insecurity. Money loves to be pampered. Investors also love to be pampered. Money goes where there is peace and harmony, and that's where money thrives. Mm-hmm. We can only get out of this spiral rate of increasing unemployment when we have relative peace across this country. Thereby, people can go to farm, investors can come. From there, we can bring in our young ones to work. Without peace and security, there is hardly anything anyone can do. Investors are scared of coming here. We need to have peace everywhere.
Thank you very much for your time. It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you so much. Nice having you guys around. I need to commend TVC. We always watch your labor lens. It's quite remarkable that out of all television stations in Nigeria, even radio stations, newspaper, it is only TVC as a media organization that carve a time, and somebody as good as you are focusing on the plight of Nigerian workers. Kudos to you, and NUPENG promise to keep supporting you.
Thank you very
Though
much.
For now, I know where you're laughing. Though for now, we are, but I can assure you, we'll see how we can improve.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.